Excuse me. I just burped before we
That's
started.
that's why my stomach hurts. I need to burp.
Oh, good idea. I'm sure our listeners won't mind if I give you, as my co-host, permission to burp through.
Oh, well, I wish I could.
Episode.
Do you ever get that where you can't burp? It hurts.
Yeah. Well, everyone, you got a very special introduction for this episode. But hello, listeners. You are, believe it or not, listening to another episode of That's Auntertainment. I'm your pop culture maven, Jeff Malone, and with me, as always, live from Hampton, Maine, it's my Aunt Beth Woods. It's September 2024, so I guess this counts as our season premiere, doesn't it?
Yeah. We haven't done anything. Well, that was in August. We did the Olympics.
Yeah, we got the Summer Olympics episode in August, so it was a special summer session, but I think it counts as last season.
Yeah. So yep, this is it. This is the beginning. The beginning of the end.
Uh-oh. What do you know? What have you heard?
Nothing yet, but...
Well, so is it feeling autumnal up in Maine?
You know, I just checked. I just checked Yardley. We have been in the high 80s here. And I figured, it must be so hot your mom and dad aren't there right now, but they were only like in the 70s. It's so weird to me when that happens. We have, since the end of last week, it's been today was like 88. It's crazy. I think tomorrow 80s, and then it's going to start to feel more like the fall towards the end of the week.
Okay.
So, what was it by you?
We had, like, last week, it was kind of like, it was feeling like late September or early October. Like, it was, the humidity went away, and it was like, just like low 70s and overnights in the 50s, like high 50s. But like in surrounding areas, like around like the Poconos, it was like lows in the 40s.
Oh yeah, we haven't. We might have.
But now the humidity went back up the past several days. But by this weekend, it's technically started fall and looking like as it should.
Okay. Yeah, we have a wedding on Saturday to go to, and it's supposed to be like high 60s. It's going to feel cool.
That's reasonable.
80s.
Yeah. To me, high 60s. 60s to me is ideal weather because you can move around without sweating.
To run in
that.
You
can walk. I do like to run in that.
Yeah.
I actually prefer to run in the 50s. But I like to walk in the 60s.
Yeah. It does feel nice. It's nice and dry.
So, yeah. On That's Auntertainment, we like to talk about the weather.
Yeah,
but that's not the premise of the show. The premise is we pick a pop culture topic and discuss it according to the 3 Fs. First, favorite, and forever. But that's for our full-length episodes. We also have... we call them... I've called them mini episodes, but I don't know, like this... This is just an annual tradition where we talk about the...
Episode.
Maybe we should call this a recap episode. We do it for the Oscars, and usually that's the spring, or I guess sometimes late winter, depending on where it falls in the calendar. And then the Emmys not the fall, because technically it's still summer.
Yeah, not much longer.
Although I guess it will be the first day of fall when this episode is released on Sunday. But as we're recording, and when the Emmys happened, it was technically still summer.
Mm-hmm. And you just gave me an idea that one episode we should just talk about the weather, the whole episode.
But pop culture related weather.
It'd be so exciting.
Yeah, I am writing that down. I like that idea. Do we know any meteorologists?
Who I
Who
don't.
could guest on that episode?
I don't know any.
All right. Well.
Okay, let's.
Okay. Yeah. So we are. I think it was our. Was it our first episode or was it our second episode ever that we talked about the Emmys? And that was like about our lifelong love of the Emmys, and then ever since then we've been recapping every year's edition.
I know. I don't remember what our very first episode was. I'll have to look into that next time.
It was either that or Whose Line Is It Anyway?
Not sure.
Well,
Anyway.
we'll check after recording.
Yeah.
Maybe you can look it up while you're listening and call us up and let us know. We're not recording live, so you won't be able to. Even if we answer the phone, we won't be on air. But feel free to call us and say hi anyway, and let us know what you found out. But yeah, so I guess so. The Emmys, the TV Academy recognizing the best in televisual excellence, usually happens in September. Not always. So it often ends up being our recap episode. Often ends up being the season premiere of That's Auntertainment. Yeah, so a little weird. The last edition of the Primetime Emmys were earlier this year. They were in January, delayed by the writers and actors strikes. But now they're back to their normal September slot. So how's September feeling for you? How's early fall looking? Because for me, this is one of the calmest autumns it's looking like in several years.
Calmest in what way? Weather-wise, or are we on a different?
Well, 4 years ago it was COVID fall.
Oh yeah.
And then 3 years ago, so worldwide things and personal things. 3 years ago we were vaccinated, but still coming out, still recovering from COVID. 2 years ago we were kind of getting back to normal, but my grandmother passed away then. Last year we had the strikes happening, so that messed with our entertainment schedules, and my Pat passed away. So this is the first fall in a while where I'm not dealing with anything really out of the ordinary. Yeah.
Yeah, which is nice that you're not having to deal with that. Yeah. Yeah, I guess things are kind of calm up here too. Calm is good.
Yep. Yeah, and I find that the Emmys, they're probably my second favorite entertainment awards show, but they're the calmer of the two, I find, compared to the Oscars. Never really had an Emmys viewing party. No. Not that I'm against it, but I don't know. It doesn't. I feel like you would be the person I'd invite for that.
Yeah.
But it's usually a bit of a hike.
Yeah, I know. Nobody around here that I know gets very excited about it, but I really enjoy it. So.
Well, so this year was the 76. You mentioned in our last Oscars episode, that was the 96th Oscars, so you were saying we would have to meet up in 4 years in person for the 100th Oscars.
Oh, wow.
So should we do the same for the 80th Emmys?
Yes, in 4 years. Wow, I didn't realize they were both on the same, 20 years apart, but the same number. Yeah.
Apparently, yeah.
That's going to be crazy when it's the 100th Oscar, but
should they shut down the movie industry for good right after that?
I don't know. That's a whole other topic. Let's stick to our TV shows.
Okay, yeah. So I watched the Emmys, and I believe you did as well. So yeah, 76th edition. The Hacks won for Outstanding Comedy Series. Shogun for Drama Series. Baby Reindeer for Limited Series. And there are some other awards as well. So let's, jump right into it. What were the Eugene and Dan Levy, father and son, co-hosted the broadcast. So what were our major reactions to the ceremony?
Um, I well, I was very excited about them being hosts, and I thought they did a great. I loved their opening
I
sequence. I actually watched it again because that was a scary thing. I was taping the show, but I watched the first 15 minutes, and then I thought, okay, I'm going to watch something else and then come back to it so I don't have to sit through all the commercials. Well, when I came back to it, my tape wasn't working, and I was
oh,
like in a panic. So I watched from there on, and then last night I watched what I missed on Hulu, but I did rewatch their opening, and I thought they did a really good job. It was no, just like they said, they're not stand-up comics, but I don't
hmm
know who wrote their jokes, but I thought they were pretty good. Just and the two of them, I don't know, just their delivery, they're very funny together. Um, I guess if
well, I'm
people
sure
like
longtime listeners of ours will remember that you named Schitt's Creek your favorite comedy show of last decade.
Yeah, and I think anybody that felt like that would be excited to see them host. So I wasn't disappointed. My favorite joke of theirs was about the uh, talking about the bear not being a comedy, and they said in the or Eugene said in the true spirit of the bear, we will not be making any jokes, and I thought that was hilarious. Um, but yeah, I
Yeah,
thought they handled the whole evening very well, and did a couple other um, skit. Well, I don't know if you want to call them skits, but whatever. Um, then let's see. I just wrote down a couple things that I was. I don't want to go through my whole list, but um, I enjoyed. There were a couple speeches I really liked. Greg Berlanti's uh, for the governor's award. I thought he gave a really good speech. And then Richard Gadd, even though I haven't seen Baby Reindeer, have you seen it?
no, that kind
Okay.
of came out of nowhere for me. I didn't see any promotion for it, and then like suddenly, like so many writers, TV critics that I follow were talking about it, and like everyone was talking about it like a week or so after it came out. I'm like, what is this show? I
Yeah,
had not heard anything about it. I mean, it sounds kind of intriguing to me. It also sounds controversial, but I
yeah,
don't know, maybe I'd enjoy it.
it sounded a little creepy too. So before
Yeah.
I even knew it was nominated for all these things, I was like, oh, I don't think I want to watch that. Um, So I don't know if I'm going to watch it now that it's won a bunch of stuff. But even though, like I said, so I didn't, but see him. But I thought he was up there two or three times, Richard Gadd, and I thought each time he made his acceptance speech, I uh, enjoyed what he had to say. Uh, I liked the Jelly Roll song that he sang during the In Memoriam. I don't know
Were you?
much of his stuff, and I was like, "Oh, I really like this song." Did you? Did
Yeah.
you listen to him at all?
Uh, Not actively, but like I mean, he's got like such an inspiring story. Like I see him. I think he was interviewed on CBS Sunday Morning. So I've seen uh, him on shows like that,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe he has a song in a commercial or something. So like I've come across his stuff before, so I knew he had a voice like that.
Okay. Yeah,
So
he
I'm like,
was.
yeah, okay, that he makes sense as someone to sing the In Memoriam song.
Yeah, he did a good job. He was on Idol this season as a
Hmm
like a coach, and too. I didn't. He. I think then he was even a little bluesy. But yeah, I
hmm
hadn't really heard much about him. But anyway, I liked that. I'll just give you the quick and then okay. Well then there were I'll wait to go I'll let you go first because then there were a couple things I wrote as far as like glad and disappointed and things like that. So and surprised. So if you want to
All
talk
right.
about the actual uh what some of your favorites were.
Well, I will say this was the Emmys where I feel like I really didn't have much of a rooting interest in a lot of the categories. Like I did not watch any of the drama nominees.
Yeah, you said that, which is surprising. The regular
Well, I mean,
dramas?
yeah, the regular
Okay.
the drama. I did watch some of the limited series, but I mean, I watch more comedies than drama usually anyway. But it wasn't like I watched no dramas series in the past year. It was just that the ones that happened to be nominated, I wasn't all that interested in. I did, after the nominations came out, actually, like a couple days before the ceremony, I got around to watching the first episode of Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Because that, of all the nominees, that was the one I was most interested in checking out.
Yeah.
Because Donald Glover was in it, so it's like, oh.
Yeah, I figured you'd like that.
Um,
What were the
but
other
yeah,
drama ones nominated? Oh,
so Shogun was the winner, and then the other ones were The Crown, Fallout, The Gilded Age, The Morning Show, Mr. and Miss Smith, Slow Horses, and Three Body Problem.
so I didn't see Fallout, Soul Horses, or Three Body Problem. I don't remember.
Yeah,
But
that's
it's
a sci-fi show on Netflix based on a book.
oh, okay. I did see all the other ones though. So, but anyway, go ahead.
Yeah,
So
and
you.
so,
So
and well, I did watch about maybe I think 5 out of 8 of the comedy series nominees, but I figured The Bear was such a huge favorite, and I didn't watch that, even though it ended up losing to Hacks,
Yeah.
which I don't watch either. Although I am kind of interested in Hacks. Oh, and shout out to Pat Regan, my old cross country teammate at Loyola. He is one of the writers on Hacks.
Oh
I think I
wow.
may have mentioned that to you before. And he was, I think they had their whole writing crew up on stage after they won, and he was
Oh,
up there.
that's neat. Okay.
So I believe this is the first time any former classmate of mine has won an Emmy, or an Oscar, or a Grammy, or a Tony for that matter.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Was he into
see.
writing back? Was he in that field back when you knew him?
I believe he was an English major, so we
Oh,
had a couple of classes together.
okay.
Um, yeah, and then limited series, I did like the past season of Fargo a lot, but again, I knew Baby Reindeer was such a huge favorite there. Although that brings me to perhaps my favorite moment of the night, and what I thought was the biggest surprise winner of the night was from Fargo, Lamorne Morris for supporting actor, who I would have given him some supporting actor in a comedy awards several years ago for New Girl. So that was. I mean, I would have before this show. I would have said he was least likely to win in that category. But I don't. I think that's a case of just him being such a likable guy, and anyone who's ever encountered him in the industry just going, Lamorne deserves the love.
I don't know. Yeah, I wrote that too. That I was very glad and surprised for that one. Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, I wasn't really expecting a win like that, where it was like, hey, that was someone I loved. I was kind of holding out hope that maybe Larry David could win for the final season of Curb Your Enthusiasm, which like, he's been nominated maybe just about every season. But of course he didn't attend anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I was happy to watch, even though I was like, man, I didn't have time to watch all these shows.
Yeah.
But
That's
then my other favorite moment was my favorite group of presenters was unsurprisingly the SNL crew.
yeah.
It was Maya, Kristen, Seth, and Bowen.
Yep, I got that
And
here too. Yeah, with the Lauren Michaels.
yes, Lauren Michaels.
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
And Bowen is definitely up there among my picks for best dressed.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't have picked him for. I forget what he was nominated in.
He
Um,
was in supporting actor in a comedy
oh,
for SNL, which is always funny. Like the SNL cast members are up against sitcom actors,
yeah.
so it's. But then they're also up against the Bear as well, which is, as the levy's established, isn't really a comedy.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Bowen lost. He lost to Eben Moss-Bachrach from the Bear.
Okay.
All right, so
Yeah, that.
so what else did you have to say? Did you want to get into your
Well, no,
surprises and reactions to the winners?
yeah, so I had the Lorne Michaels skit and the uh, very glad about Lamorne and Fargo. Disappointed that Juno Temple didn't win. I thought she was spectacular in Fargo.
Yeah, she
And
lost to Jodie
Jodie
Foster.
Foster, and I did
And
watch.
you watched
Yeah,
you
and
watched True
Jodie.
Detective, right?
Yeah, did you watch it?
No,
Okay.
I thought about it, but just didn't fit it into my schedule.
Yeah, that Jodie was fabulous in it too. But I just thought, oh, Jude, I would have been so excited to see her win, and I was just hoping, like Jude. Well, that's probably the only thing True Detective won anyway. But I was going to say Fargo didn't end up winning that much, did they? They were
I think
nominated.
just Lamorne.
Wow, they were nominated.
Yeah.
And then the same thing. I was really surprised that Hacks beat out the Bear, even though I saw both of them, and well, that's just a whole nother story as far as I wanted the Bear to win, or I thought they deserved to win, even though they're not a comedy. But I did like that I was surprised, and then I'll get into more of that later, but because it's nice to not always feel like who's predicted, and so it was kind of nice to have a couple surprises.
Yeah, other than those two, Lamorne and Hacks, I thought the only really significant surprise for me was Slow Horses winning for writing.
Okay. That's with Gary Oldman, right? I don't know anything about it though.
Yeah, well, I mean, I was expecting Shogun to dominate most of the drama categories, and it did, but I think there were 2 Shogun episodes nominated for writing, so maybe there was some vote splitting there.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's the one that Will Smith won.
Will Smith, yes. Yeah. Oh, and what did you
When
think
they
of
first
his
announced him,
joke
I was
there?
Second, yeah. It's like, oh, something we didn't know about. So, I was just saying that it made me realize that sometimes I don't enjoy the shows, not just the Emmys, but even the Oscars as much as I used to. I feel like years ago there weren't all the predictions about um, who's going to win, and um, I guess maybe I shouldn't read anything prior to the ceremony, and then I'd be a little bit more surprised. Because I did, like I said, I realized I do like to be surprised. And nowadays, you go in, with everything on line, saying, "Oh, this is probably going to win," and blah blah blah. And I don't know, that kind of takes.
Well, I mean, like 20 years ago, Entertainment Weekly and TV Guide, like they would have their predictions.
Yeah.
But there wouldn't be like 50 other websites also adding predictions. And then there's the other element of all the other award shows, like
Yes.
other award shows were happening, but not as many of them were on TV as there are now.
Yeah.
Like as far as TV goes, it was really just the Emmys and the Golden Globes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So. Yeah, and I guess that's not going to change anytime soon because as long as we've got social media, they're going to keep doing the sites will do their predictions, but yeah. So, oh, I forgot to mention that and then I loved that they had the Schitt's Creek reunion they had all the cast members on at the end, so I
Hmm.
enjoyed that a lot too.
Speaking of Schitt's Creek cast members, have you seen Beetlejuice yet?
No, because I realized I don't know if I have ever watched the full first movie, and I'm
Mm.
thinking I better do that before I go see the new one. Have you
You know
seen
what
it?
else? You know what happened the year the first Beetlejuice came out?
What year was it? 96?
It was a very significant year.
Was it? Uh, well, it wasn't. You were already born, so it wasn't then. What year did it? I
Was
don't
I
know.
already born?
Yeah, didn't it come out in 90 something?
Came out in 80 something.
Oh, did it come out in 88?
It did.
Oh, wow, I didn't know it was that long ago. The
Yeah,
year you were born. Oh,
that's
wow.
right.
Okay, so have you seen the new one or no?
Yeah.
And did you like it?
I liked it quite a bit. It's probably my favorite Tim Burton movie in maybe since Mars Attacks.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I really do want to see it, and I love Michael Keaton, so I'm planning to.
Did he win an Emmy a few years ago for
Yeah,
was it Dope
Dope
Sick?
Sick. Yep.
Here he wants to go by his actual birth name now. Do you know what that is?
Oh, Michael Douglas, right?
Right.
Yeah, just read an article about him in I don't remember People or whatever. Yeah, and I didn't realize that that's what his name was. You also talked about um, having two ceremonies in the same year.
Oh, right. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, I did mention
And
that. So what was?
I found
Uh,
so I think one bad thing about that is that it's a little confusing knowing the time periods that are eligible when you've got the two um, in the same year. And um,
well, I mean,
also,
it's also confusing when you have something like The Bear, a summer show,
yeah,
where it's even if we didn't have the two ceremonies, it was the third season of The Bear just aired, but this is was for the second season,
yeah, and I
which
think,
aired last summer.
and hopefully people that are voting realize that because no, I thought of that too. I had to actually look. I was thinking, when did the bear come out? Because I felt like I watched it longer ago than the summer, and then I realized it was just the summer. And this goes to what, May? Is it what
Yeah,
is
it's
it?
always September to May is the
May. Okay,
eligibility
yeah,
window, or June to May, excuse me.
Yeah. So that's confusing, and then also, like you mentioned about, oh, excuse me, when they televise many more award shows than they used to, sometimes you kind of, well, what I was saying about either the predictions, you kind of know who's likely to win, or you just also get tired of seeing the same, like, oh, come on, they just won 3 awards before, so, so especially having the two Emmys, not all of them, but many of the same people won Emmy in January, won a Golden Globe, won a SAG Award, and then came
Yeah.
back again. So, uh, yeah.
Well, I think didn't Candice Bergen say she wasn't going to be she wouldn't accept a nomination anymore in the 90s for Murphy Brown.
Oh,
And
yeah.
she won like 4 years in a row or
I
something. And
think
she's like,
so. Now that you say it,
I'm done. Don't pick me anymore.
yeah, I like that.
And did you enjoy her appearance
Yes,
this year?
yeah. I always like seeing her. I've got a question for you about the Creative Arts Emmys.
Okay.
How so? I mean, I looked on my online that had all the winners and stuff, but some of those seemed like some of them were some major categories, and I was like, how do they determine what's going to be in the creative arts? And I mean, I guess guest stars on certain shows. I would have been nice to see in the regular Emmys. I'm trying
Well,
to
I
think.
know what they've done in the past is like they'll present the guest star winners on the
Yes,
Creative Arts
they'll come
Emmys,
out.
and then they'll be presenters
Yeah,
during the
they didn't.
primetime ceremony, but they didn't do
They
that this
didn't do
year.
that. Yeah. Were there any? I can't even remember. Some of them were very technical as I was going.
I mean,
Like,
there's like I don't. There's so many categories
oh, I
on the
know, it's
creative. There,
crazy.
it's like editing, cinematography, picture editing, sound, makeup, contemporary makeup, period makeup, fantasy makeup, contemporary costumes, fantasy costumes,
Yeah.
period costumes, and
Wow.
yeah, it's I recorded. So the Creative Arts Emmys, they were the weekend before, and then they aired a recorded version of the show the day before the Primetime Emmys on FXX. So I recorded that. I'm about halfway through, so I
Okay.
haven't poured over the full winners list completely, but there are some categories there that have been on the primetime
Yeah. What? Like.
ceremony in the past. Like I think like writing for variety series. I think that's been there before.
Okay. Yeah, because I
But
feel
yeah,
like when I was reading through it, I felt like I said thought that some of those seemed like they had should have been or had been. So maybe
hmm
that's what I was, you know, maybe it was the writing and but. Ooh, we have
yeah. I
sound
mean, I think
effects.
it's like a decision about time. Like there's certain categories that are like the a- acting categories and they're always going to be on the main
Well,
telecast,
yeah,
but
yeah,
if they want to keep it at 3 hours, there's like, well, not everything's going to make the cut, so
yeah. Okay. So I told your dad. So you pronounce it Shogun, not Shogun. It's the Shogun.
is it
I don't
is I
know.
think yeah, I thought I've been hearing it
I
announced
know.
with
I'm
the
trying to.
emphasis on the first syllable.
I don't remember
Sh-
them how
or
they
are we both putting, wait, or is
Shogun.
I'm saying shogun, or wait, what was how was I saying it?
You were saying it like Shogun, and I'm
Yeah,
saying
and you're saying shogun.
yeah,
Okay, yeah, I'm putting the emphasis on the first syllable. You're putting it on the second.
yeah, Shogun.
Right.
But just
Merriam-Webster says emphasis on the first. Although I
Shogun.
think, yeah.
Like I should watch to see how they said it on the show. But anyway, I remember when that was on many years ago with Richard Chamberlain, and I don't think I watched it then. And so when it was coming out, I read about it and I said, "Oh, I don't think I'm going to watch that." Then when I hear that they broke all the records before even the Emmys, that just for nominations, and then they won all these at the Creative Arts, and I always do that. I think, oh, if it's a good show, like then maybe I should start watching it. That's what last year I did, or maybe it was January. I watched Beef because of
Mhm.
that, which I didn't love anyway. But anyway, so I watched the first one over the weekend, um, and it was good. And I was like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to keep watching it. And then I talked to your dad and to see if he watched it, and he said he did. And I said it feels like a big commitment because it's 10 episodes and they're each over an hour,
Mhm.
and plus it's all subtitled, from Japanese. So I started watching the second one last night, but I got too tired, so I don't know if I'm gonna keep it or not. I don't,
Yeah.
but
Now I don't I hadn't even looked up uh, the running time for that one, but yet I'm not a fan of any show having episodes. I think 50 should be the limit, and even more than 45. I'm like, I don't know.
oh, time, yeah, I know. I
Yeah,
like yeah, I know. You get used to those short ones, and then it's hard to watch. So yeah, we'll see. I don't know how far I'm gonna get at it, but so Yeah, otherwise, I think I covered everything.
What'll happen at the next Emmys? That will actually be a year from now if all goes
Yeah,
according to plan. Who will we be rooting for then? Any
I
new
don't know.
shows that we think?
Oh yeah, so this week tonight is High Potential. Are you on
Yeah, the
tape?
night we're recording. Yeah,
On
you're recording that.
yeah. Um,
I'm hoping that turns out to be award worthy as well. I've long thought Caitlin Olsen and all of the Always Sunny crew deserves some recognition. So
yeah, I
that'll
like
be
her.
fun
Yeah,
if she
so
gets recognized.
I always enjoy starting out the fall season, and then there's a bunch that I start watching, and I don't keep them all, see how they are, and then
Are you
and
planning on watching the Boat Doctor?
I'm going to Dr. Odyssey. Is that what it's called?
Yeah,
Or I'm gonna
yeah, I think that's the name. I've been
I'm
just
gonna
calling it the Boat
the
Doctor.
boat doctor. I'm gonna start it, and like you said, or we agree that high potential, and I think and St. Denis Medical are the two that
Hmm.
I'm also looking forward to the most. That one doesn't start till October, maybe.
Yeah, that
Um,
sounds right.
but yeah, I probably had about maybe 10 or so. I can't, oh, there's another, Brilliant Minds with, Zachary Quinto.
Hmm.
He plays I forget if he's a surgeon or what, but that one sounded good. And so we'll see.
Yeah, now
Sometimes
that the Good Doctor has
I've
ended,
lost, yeah, I lost.
there needs to be another medical show about
Yeah,
a
with the doctor.
quirky doctor.
I know they should have just kept that on because I loved it. I lost like three. I watched that, New Amsterdam, and The Resident, and they're all off. So now I've got to, start watching some new ones. So. But yeah, I'll start, but I'm not going to keep them all up because then there's too. Then I get too many. So uh, we'll
Okay.
have to text each other or compare notes when. Well, maybe I'll. Are you going to watch High Potential? Is that this
I'll
tonight or
yeah.
just?
I don't know if I'll be able to stay up tonight, but I'll
Yeah,
watch it tomorrow. I'm sh-
yeah. I'll probably.
I'll probably have watched it by the time this podcast episode comes out. So if
Well,
any of our listeners want to ask me what I thought about it, I'll
text
probably
me after just to let me know
okay.
what you thought. So, okay,
Okay.
I think we can wrap it up.
All right. Anything to promote or
Ooh,
anything along those lines?
no, I didn't. Well, just the ones I was. I didn't realize I was just those that I was just talking about.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're looking towards fall TV, of course, as usual, and also as usual, you can support us on Patreon if you'd like, and Ken Jong if you want to talk about any of the fall TV shows that you're on. You can always you still have an open invitation to be a guest on this show, and you can leave us a review. And we can read it on air if you'd like. You can do that by heading to ratethispodcast.com/that's Auntertainment. And you can follow us on social media. We're still on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And all right, that's another edition of Mrs. Emmy. Thank you for visiting again. Any final words from you, Aunt Beth?
Nope, I said it all.
All right, then I guess it's time for our farewells.
That's what I'll say. This what is good night.
And I'll say keep your remotes handy and your eyes open.